Hello and welcome. You are watching NDTV and I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. This is a special episode on a brand that is going the extra mile to commemorate the heroes of Operation Sindhur. Krishniah Chetty jewelers have launched special silver and gold medallions on Operation Sindhur. In fact, we're now joined for a conversation with Dr. Vinod Hayagri. He's the MD of Krishniah Chetty Jewelers. Thank you very much, Mr. Vinod, for taking out the time to speak to us on NDTV. So let's begin. About 155 years ago, that's when you established this brand. Tell us a bit more about your story and also tell us about how you've evolved as a brand over the past 155 years.
Well, from a humble bead seller, as Krishniah Chetty was, on a bicycle in the cantonment region of Bangalore, which is also the army cantonment. So there's a very strong link between the defense forces and Krishniah Chetty since the founding in 1869. That's probably why we still continue to have a very nice feeling about the defense services in this country, because we were born in the cantonment region, which was established as a kind of a force, the British forces, to be a protection service to the Maharaja of Mysore, and we were the officially appointed jewelers to the royal family of Mysore, and therefore there is a lot of link between the royal families of South and Central and Deccan part of this country, as well as the cantonment in Bangalore. At that time it was called Bangalore, and the British were the residents of this area.
Now, obviously it's a very, very tall and long story, but as a fifth generation jeweler who's doing phenomenal business, as I can see here, what does it mean for you to personally carry forward this legacy?
It's a responsibility. Quite often, most of us in business, when we get into a business, we look at achievements of our own. But what is more important in this kind of a situation, in a company like this, an organization like this, is the carrying forward of a very rich legacy that spans 15 decades. So there is more than a balance sheet. There is more a kind of a respect to the forefathers and the founders of the organization. We carry forward their vision, but at the same time, we want to keep evolving it to the current situations, the current markets, the current the consumer world, whether it is in India or abroad.
Now, as you're talking about carrying forward this legacy, a lot of it would be based on trust, because business houses like yours that have been in business for so long, one of the key components is obviously going to be trust. So how does that work for a company that's been in business for, about a century and a half?
Trust is very important. But the trust comes out of processes and systems and how we deal with our consumers. At one point of time when the business was very opaque, where things were not very easily, transparent to the consumer, trust was more important. But today, with a huge number of migrants, young generation, be it the millennials or the Gen Zs, they don't know Adam from A, B, C, X, Y, Z. So what's important for them is they're an educated consumer. They want to see value. They want to see what's or how the organization is running itself, how open and transparent they are, and that is established. The trust follows.
We've been talking about your legacy. How does a brand like yours actually balance traditional craftsmanship with modern innovations in jewelry? Because the customers that you're serving now, as you yourself pointed out, are millennials, so they must have a bit of a different taste in jewelry.
Yes. What makes that possible is only a deeper sense of connection to the Indian culture on one hand, and also on the other hand to see how we can connect with the future. So I don't want to use those cliched words as it's being talked about all over the place today, but it's important to see how we can use modern mindset, be it people who work for the organization, people who we are adding into the workforce, and those who have a huge understanding of deep Indian, Vedic or cultural significances. Jewelry is something that has a combination of both. One side, we are looking at saris like Kanjivarams, but on the other side, we are looking at something that is very avant-garde, where a sari is converted into a beautiful tunic. So the whole concept is, how does one be able to think in multifarious ways? Therefore, your product, your teams will develop their designs based upon this kind of diverse population that India is today, especially the city of Bangalore, which is, a huge cauldron of people from around the world.
So what I understand of my conversation with you earlier and look around here, you want to position yourself as more than just a jewelry brand. Now, how do you see your role in contributing in that sense to society and obviously, the nation beyond business?
We believe there is certain objectives of an organization. What is Krishniah Chetty's objective? The way we think is, we want to make people look more beautiful on one side, but there should also be a meaning. Many people call it storytelling. But what is storytelling? It's meaning, which means that anything that we make, that we create, that we design, that we manufacture, needs to have something that is valuable to the consumer to take home. That's the only objective of Krishniah Chetty. How can we add more value to society? By our products, by our services, and by our deeds.
And so I understand that a part of that is also what you've launched, to commemorate Operation Sindhur. You've launched these gold and silver medallions. Tell us a bit more about what inspired that.
On 22nd of April, what happened at Pahalgam is what shocked us, the whole country. I had a friend here in Bangalore who lost somebody very close to them. I felt strongly, and the organization felt strongly, why does this happen? As time went by, the government was very, kind of not reacting to it. There was a lot of unhappiness in the society, in the people. But then Operation Sindhur happened. When Operation Sindhur happened, we were looking at what was happening in Israel, in Ukraine, Russia. We said, what's the world coming to? But the way India dealt with the attack by Pakistan, I think was an absolute eye-opener for us and for the whole country. We felt very strongly about the ethical warfare that the government of India perpetrated. How well did they handle it? They struck with force very quietly, but yet had the phenomenal wisdom to withdraw. So there was, on the days of the war between India and Pakistan in Operation Sindhur, I have friends in Jammu and Kashmir, I have friends in Amritsar, I have friends in that part of the country which is just bordering, including Jodhpur and places. At 11 o'clock in the night, 10 o'clock, I was having phone calls to say, how are you people? Because they were all shell-shocked. They did not know whether they would be alive in that night. Now, that was the kind of gravity of the situation that we kind of felt so strongly, that after the Operation Sindhur was completed and victory of ethical warfare happened, we said, who would remember this 50 years from now? A short war, decisive victory. After this, what? We will go back to our normal routines, and then there's somebody down the line. What comes after Gen Z, I don't know. But whatever comes, would they remember this victory? Would they remember the sacrifice and the wisdom that India, executed in such a wonderful way. When the world was saying we'll go to war, India is saying we go to peace. Now that is something that struck a very strong chord at Krishniah Chetty, and we said we are going to make a medallion. And fortunately, we had some beautiful professionals in the defense services who were part of this and said, if you're making it, make it very worthwhile. Let's put in information that makes every Indian proud. And that's how we have this little booklet which comes with every medallion in a very beautiful box, a giftable, preservable, collectible box. Ultimately, I think 50 years from now, people are going to say, do you know Operation Sindhur? And most would say no, but this might be the reason to say, yes, I do. That was the whole concept of Operation Sindhur medallion. And then we created one in gold, then we created one in silver. We wanted to make it very accessible to people. So we did something at 1,300 rupees, so a large number of people can, own one. At the same time, we did something in gold, pure gold, which was 111,000 rupees. Again, something that would be easily accessible to those who can afford that kind of money. We would like, the whole concept is we've already made very many medallions, over 1,000 medallions. I think over a period of time, we're going to make several more thousands of them. And I don't know if I can touch 10 lakh pieces, but then it goes to everybody. They have something to remember this beautiful episode of India's history.
What a wonderful thought. In fact, we'll talk a bit more about that. We slip into a very short commercial break. When we return, we'll tell you more about what inspired this brand to commemorate the heroes of Operation Sindhur. Welcome back. You're watching NDTV and we are in conversation with Mr. Vinod Hayagreev, the MD and the Director of C. Krishniah Chetty Jewellers. Vinod, before we went into this break, we were talking about what inspired you to launch these medallions. But tell us a bit more about the concept around it, and also what is the kind of research that went into designing something like this?
A very sensitive product like this. It's not like something that we make like a brooch or a necklace to wear. This is something that has a lot more depth to the meaning and to the significance of it for this country. Therefore, what we did was to actually, we are aware there is a lot of information in the public domain, but there's also a lot of classified information which we are not, party to. And I think it should continue to remain classified. However, based upon really good information that we have been able to cull out ethically, which includes from the press information system in the country, we've been able to, bring out some really interesting features of how the Operation Sindhur took part. This is from the, Government of India Press Information Bureau, so which means that it is authentic. And so we went through all of these to understand what went into Operation Sindhur, what was the effort that the Government of India and the Defence Ministry and the Defence Services did. And we actually were quite surprised to see the kind of planning and the kind of meticulousness with which it was executed. So what we did is we took parts of this information, we took some military measures that the government did, and we also went into non-military measures like how the government took the information overload and how they handled it, as well as we took some very interesting photographs of what were the equipment that were really used. So what we did was we took out pictures. These are the battle tanks, Akash Tir defense system, which was very instrumental, and we took some of the aircraft carriers, the tanks, the missiles. We also designed initially a round motif, which was easier to make, But then we realized as we went along in the research, it was not possible to fit it in, and it was not unique. A round is a round. I mean, everybody makes a round coin or a medallion. We said we got to make something different, and that's how we came out with an octagon. And that's how you can see now it's a beautiful octagon shaped medallion, which it'll stand out in any collection.
You were saying earlier, 50 years, maybe 100 years down the line, people might not remember this operation because just because it was so swift. What is your thought process then for future generations to remember this?
Well, there are several lessons in this operation. It's not just between two countries, but it's between the two peoples of the world, of the two countries as well as the world. I think the example that has been set here has been well thought out, well coordinated operation. Another very good lesson is for the generations that follow. The era of wars, I think, needs to come to an end. We need to be looking at, I think both India and Pakistan, I think, did discuss how to end it. I think whatever we may say about these two countries and the leadership in these two countries, there is a very mature leadership that's happened. And I think Leo Tolstoy wrote a beautiful book called War and Peace. Here is a demonstration of war and a quick peace. That, I think, is something we all have to carry forward, be it in economic warfare, be it in, martial warfare, defense warfare, or even in our families. Don't we realize from this that when two people have, or multiple sets of people are having discomfort in their own relationships, at the end of the day, you quickly finish the war, you make peace, because life is more beautiful when you have peace. And that's the whole concept. It goes beyond a medallion. There's a very deep significance in this. And I wish the learning is realized by millions of people.
Oh yes, absolutely. We are rooting for peace as well. Now, but for peace, it's very important that we have a strong defense, and you've just recently participated in the Defense Summit. Now, how do you see jewelry and symbolic creations like this one playing a larger role in honoring the heroes of wars and battles?
It's very important. The government, for example, were to honor a very prominent defense person. It's very good. But nothing like a million people saying, hey, we love you because you defended the country. Be it the earlier times when our very respected Abdul Kalam had done so much for the country, whether it was the atomic research, the nuclear facilities, all of them are peace-loving, operations in this country. I believe that heroes of our country who fought this war, in fact, we also had in our company a colonel who worked and participated in the Kargil warfare. And he would give us inspirational thoughts about how to manage business through learning from war. So recognizing important people in the defense services is very important. There are times that we may even have these medallions reaching important people who are safeguarding our country and who are not known, or they may be known but who are not celebrated or may be celebrated. But ultimately each of these, if we were to gift them to even such people, I think we as citizens of the country would do a great service.
And how has the response of the defense community as well as consumers been to this?
Well, at the Defense Summit, the NDTV Defense Summit, which happened in Delhi, we were very happy and very glad that our representative at the summit had a very nice discussion with Air Marshal Tiwari, and he was very appreciative of this, and he said this is a very nice initiative by Krishniah Chetty. Similarly, we've had somebody from the Adani Defense Systems who also appreciated this. There were very many good interactions at the Defense Summit, and I believe that there has been a great appreciation, and I wish that this will continue. We're not going to stop production of this. I think it will go on for a couple of months, and then we would try to distribute it and have many people own their medallion.
Absolutely, and we wish you all the best for that. But give us a sense of how your business now moves forward. You've got a lot of younger buyers. In terms of changing consumer trends, how are you as a business house innovating and making sure that you become a part of what Gen Z looks at when it consumes jewelry, so to say?
We are a jewelry house, but we are also, you may call us by different names. We are a luxury house, we are a jewelry house, we create artifacts and so on. But at the end of the day, I want people to realize or to appreciate us for the true work that we do in creating valuable products. When I say valuable, it means not price-wise valuable, but meaning-wise valuable. So ultimately, we want people to say, when I buy a Krishniah Chetty product, there is more to it than the intrinsic value of gold, diamond, silver, and so on.
That vision will also inspire perhaps growth for you. So how do you go forward? Where do you see Krishniah Chetty maybe 20 years from now? Are you looking at a global stage?
Yes. Plans were afoot on that already. Slight pause thanks to the American turmoil, but it's not very far when we would have international operations.
Vinod, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for taking out the time to speak to us on NDTV.
Likewise, a great pleasure.
Well, that's all we have time for right now on this special episode. Thank you very much for joining us on NDTV.